Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today's guest is Danny Carr, our district attorney for Jefferson County, Birmingham Division.
Yeah.
How you doing, Danny?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you came. We've got some things going on I want to talk to you about,
All right.
some misinformation that we
Yes.
want to clean up.
Okay.
There are a lot of things we can talk about. But essentially, I'd like to start with you. You've been on our show before,
Yes.
and I would like to talk about the circumstances of the office in Jefferson County now that we've gotten the election behind us, all the craziness that went on with the district attorney's office.
Yeah.
And the wheels of justice are in a better position to move forward without being distracted by politics,
Yes.
hopefully. So what's going on down there these days?
We're serving the people of Jefferson County. These are the survivors and the victims of crime. But we're trying to make sure that we keep the wheels of justice turning. We're trying to make sure that our courtrooms are covered, that the cases are moving, that the trials are occurring, that our grand jury is proceeding the way it should, and at the same time that we're looking at cases and hopefully making decisions that's the right decision. And I often tell people that the most important part of being a district attorney is to do the right thing, and we're trying to do
no
that,
harm.
To do no harm.
I think Abe Lincoln said that.
Absolutely. And I think and even the better term talks about make sure that the innocent doesn't suffer and that the guilty doesn't go free. And we're trying to do that.
Well, it's certainly a process of managing resources as well. I mean, you can't spend a lot of energy. Well, you can spend energy, but I don't think you should spend most of your energy handling things that should be handled in different ways that the system offers, such as diversion programs.
And we have several diversion courts. Matter of fact, we're instituting a new one, hopefully soon, that will be called the theft court. Currently, we have drug court, which is the diversionary court for nonviolent offenders. We have mental health court for people who have mental illness, to try to get them back on the right track and make sure that we protect the public at the same time. We have a veterans court now for people that have served our country. And we're going to institute a theft court, hopefully, that would again deal with cases where no one was injured, but we can make the victim whole by making sure that their restitution is paid back, and also hold the defendant accountable for what he or she has done. But again, that gives us another tool to deal with cases in a manner that's fair for both sides, but at the same time focus our resources on violent crime, which is permeating our communities right now.
Yeah, every day.
Yes,
every day I wake up, there's a shooting somewhere. I mean, I've been around a while. It used to not be like that.
Yeah, we issued, and I tell people, I think we issued around 8,064 felony warrants last year. So that gives you an idea how many cases, and we're just talking about felonies. We're talking about your possession cases, your distribution cases, your trafficking cases, your theft cases, your burglary cases, all the things that doesn't necessarily make the news, they still have to flow through our courts also. So again, that's when we're talking about delegating resources. You only have so many prosecutors, so many judges, so many courtrooms to deal,
and so many
with
jury
cases,
weeks.
and so many jury weeks. So
because we're not funded very well in the state.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Our court system is broke, but just so you guys know that are listening, a diversion program is a mechanism within the system that used to be looked upon with some disfavor because it was thought to be too lenient. But what it does is it allows the individual charged with the offense to acknowledge guilt, but ultimately get to the underlying root of what caused the behavior, with some hope of being able to have the charge ultimately dismissed, subject to the conditions that Danny just spoke of.
Yes.
If it's a drug case, then you want that person to stop using drugs. And And if they do, they're rewarded by having their case dismissed, which can ultimately be expunged. Not every case and not every charge, but in the cases he's talking about that qualify for those sorts of diversionary treatments. I used to call it when I was judging Vestavia therapeutic jurisprudence.
Yes.
Because, it's like DUI. You can make them spend a year in jail.
Yeah.
But when they come out of jail, they're going to want to drink if you don't address the underlying. I'm talking about the repeat offender, not the poor person who's out with the guys on Friday afternoon who happens to get arrested going home.
Yes.
I'm talking about the repeat offender.
And you're right. You want to get to the root cause of why this incident happened, and make sure, hopefully, that they get the help they need, so they'll be more productive members of society. But at the same time, make sure that the people in the community are protected also.
And the supervision aspect of it comes in the drug universe from UAB Task.
Yes.
That does the random drug screens. You have the court's ability to yank them by the chain if they step out of bounds and not lose them, but just give them a little nudge.
Yes. And they're constantly being monitored too, which is another facet of a diversionary program versus just being placed on probation and allowed to just walk away. They're constantly being monitored.
I want to talk about the big ticket when we come back,
All right.
okay?
All
This is Our Issues Birmingham. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking with Danny Carr, our district attorney for Jefferson County, Birmingham Division. Lately, there was a big fuss about an announcement that left the impression that your office, the Bessemer Division DA's office, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department were all trying to change the law as it relates to marijuana. And that was totally miscommunicated in some way.
Yes.
Is there a chance, and now it's been dropped for now.
For now.
But there are competing things going on, not necessarily competing, but parallel things going on. For example, there are bills pending in the legislature to basically decriminalize marijuana, which is what I think people heard when you and the sheriff tried to change the process for the intake of the individuals who were caught with small amounts of marijuana.
Correct.
So explain to the folks what we were trying to accomplish that we didn't get accomplished, and how that hampers our ability to fulfill some of the things we'd like to do in the criminal justice system with what you perceive to be the more urgent problems.
You know, one of the major aspects or components of that was that people heard the term decriminalize.
Yeah.
And when you look at the proposal talked about the manner in which we would have dealt with those cases or those instances on the front end, meaning procedurally.
Yeah.
Now, substantively, marijuana was still illegal. So we're not trying to say it's not illegal. Procedural law versus substantive law. What we were proposing was that those individuals on the front end, they are cited, meaning just like a traffic citation, they're signed
A summons.
a summons, basically, just like any other person that signs a traffic citation for small amounts of marijuana, personal use cases only. And then they're released pending further court hearings later on.
So they still have to
So
go
they
to court.
still have to go to court. They're still subject to a possible fine. They're still subject to having it on their record. Just on the front end, they were not taken to jail. And the reason for that was to allow officers to remain on the street, to continue to be able to patrol high crime areas, instead of using the limited resources we have by having that officer to have to take that person to jail. That individual have to have their car towed. That officer have to sit there and wait till they're booked, which would have taken them off the street for 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, on a minor offense where they could have still been patrolling the area to hopefully continue to crack down on some of this violent crime.
Yeah. Well, it kind of got misinterpreted.
Yes.
And as a result, some jurisdictions, well, for starters, the summons process has been in existence in Alabama since I've been practicing law. So not every offense, as a matter of fact, in federal court,
that's right.
An indictment, even returned by a grand jury, is often delivered to the person charged by way of a summons in the mail, inviting them to attend their initial court appearance, where they are then processed and the system starts to churn at that point.
That's right.
There's no different there than what you were trying to accomplish in the big ticket item. It just got skewed. So hopefully we can get that back going. In the meantime, the state legislature has some bills pending.
State legislature has some bills pending that deals with marijuana, actually, and it talks about decriminalizing marijuana. It talks about making the penalty actually a violation versus a classified offense like a misdemeanor or a felony.
Yeah.
Making it a violation and being subject to a fine only.
So a violation is an offense that is subjected to no more than 30 days in jail.
Yes.
It's still a misdemeanor, just like a speeding ticket technically is a misdemeanor, because the definition of misdemeanor versus felony is anything less than a year or less, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So underneath the misdemeanor world, there's a subclassification called a violation, which is like a speeding ticket.
Like a speeding ticket.
But if you want to contest a speeding ticket, you still, if you pay it, then you've essentially pled guilty to it.
That's right.
Same thing would be true with this big ticket item, and the same thing is true with what they're trying to get the legislative body. The fact that they're talking about it is astonishing to me.
Yes.
Because we've had Patricia Todd on here for years trying to talk about those bills, but it seems to have some traction this time.
It appears to, and I know they've talked about, I think Senator Singleton has presented that bill, marijuana bill, and I also think there's a bill, conversations about medical marijuana also.
Yeah.
So they're kind of running parallel to each other. I don't know what the status is as of today, but I know there's a committee vote on it coming up pretty soon.
Well, we'll see if they get anything accomplished down there. Now, back to the bigger problem. Every day, the news is almost every morning. It's like when I wake up, I want to see what's happened in Washington, which is always interesting. And then shortly thereafter, I get a report that something horrible is happening in Birmingham as it involves youth and firearms.
Yes.
Are we trying to get out into the community to change the mindset of our youth?
And changing the mindset is where we have to start. And I'll tell you, going to schools and talking to kids is something that I've done for years, and it's something that I've continued to do now. I believe that as the district attorney, clearly my job is to hold people responsible for the acts that they commit. But at the same time, I view my job as taking a step further in trying to prevent some of those offenses from happening also.
No entry as opposed to re-entry.
That's right. No entry. So going out to schools, we've brought in a program called the Helping Families Initiative that deals with school truancy, because people don't realize the pipeline of prison is real. So to try to keep kids in school, we have that going now. There's a program that I will institute soon that's going to be called the District Attorney League of Gentlemen. We're going to go in and we're going to, the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade kids, we're going to have a curriculum set up for them. I'm going to use my platform as district attorney to try to get those kids, gather them, and meet with them. And we can talk more about it when you want to. We can do it now or later. Let
me take a break because I think we're out of time on this segment.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. We're going to pick up with this program he's instituting here.
All right.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking with Danny Carr right now. We were talking about getting in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade levels with some platforms.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, learn a trade. You don't have to go to college.
Absolutely.
Play an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Ona was on here. He, back when he was coming up, him and Cleve Eaton both did a show with me. It was, here, you're a trumpet player. Here, work on this. I mean, something that gets the mindset off of the gangster kind of mentality. And I am not talking about socioeconomic differences, because this cuts across all segments
It does.
of our population, all parts of Jefferson County. So,
and oftentimes, when we were growing up, I
Thank
didn't
you.
have,
thank you for taking 20 years off my life.
I didn't have to deal with social media.
No,
there was,
that's true.
The influences of social media. I mean, it's huge. And trying to change the mindset of kids. This program, we're only going to take 14 originally. There's 7 high schools in Birmingham. I'm going to take 2 from each one because the plan is for me to fund it out of my pocket. And that's all I can afford, frankly, right now. And I'm going to buy them uniforms. I'm going to buy them all the tie. And they're going to be uniformed when we meet. We're going to do things at the courthouse so they can see the ramifications of their actions. I'm going to take them up to the city club where they can eat and look over Birmingham and understand that if you sacrifice and you do certain things, that you can be and do whatever you want to. You can be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. I want them to understand and see both sides of that coin. And we're going to have mentors. We're going to have tutorers. We're going to have people from trade schools come in and talk to them about that. We're going to have a full list of stuff.
I know the Birmingham Home Builders Association is interested in participating in
that would be wonderful.
An apprenticeship program.
That would be wonderful.
I talked to Mayor Woodfin about it, but that's something you might consider if you'll get with me. I'll put you in touch with the right people.
I would love whatever I can do to save a young person, to get that young person on the right track. I'm willing to do it, and it's a necessity now. We have to do it.
Yeah.
We have to do it, and that is, in my opinion, the change in the mindset of how we view even prosecutors. Back in the day, the prosecutor was always the baddest guy, in the area, in the room, or in wherever in the community. But now, you can be tough on crime, but you have to be smart on it too. And so it's a balance.
Yes.
It's a balance when people.
And it's not one size fits all.
Absolutely, it's not. And you have to understand that there are gray areas in everything, and you have to be willing to try to make sure that the punishment fit the crime. But at the same time, you have to be involved in the community. And I believe that my involvement in the community, I think, can change some mindsets, and also hopefully can change some of the activity that's going on
some
in
behavior.
Some of our communities.
Well, that's what the diversion programs are about. But
absolutely.
We're trying to catch these young people before they get to the court system.
Yeah, I've often said that people talk about it. Criminal justice reform is a big topic right now. And a lot of people talk about criminal justice reform being give them 3 years instead of 10 years. Well, they still have to deal with the ramifications of a felony. They still have to deal with those ramifications. In my mindset, true criminal justice reform is to stop it before it happens, to get out there and try to stop it before it happens.
I've been a proponent of restorative justice for a long time, where you try to bring the victim and the offender together, which is very difficult to do in most instances, because we have more of a retribution kind of mentality. Some countries have gone, like New Zealand and Australia, places like that, where they restore, the victim restores whoever is restored by whoever offended them.
Yes.
It's a hard sell. It's sort of like the diversion programs when they first started the drug court. Defense lawyers like me had to adapt their mentality, because you really are not being adversarial in that setting.
That's right.
You're not either.
That's right.
So you're trying to solve the problem as opposed to exact a pound of flesh from somebody. That's the difference. But when you said you pay that out of your pocket, you didn't mean your own pocket. You meant the Jefferson County DA's fund.
No, I meant my own pocket.
Really?
Yes.
Because the DA doesn't have any, that
we don't have any discretionary money like that, no.
We don't have, another thing you probably don't realize, in the advent of the debit card, the check
unit
is gone.
That's right. And
and that was a money maker.
Yeah. And I have adapted that area of our office, and we're doing e-checks now also.
Oh, really?
So we're prosecuting e-check cases.
Same
but,
rules.
Yeah, same rules. It's a bit different to prosecute them, obviously, but at the same time, it does keep that unit going, and it does keep it generating, and obviously make sure that people who write those, or not write those, but e-checks, when you talk about, because a lot of people don't understand them. When you go to some stores, or Walmart, or Lowe's, maybe they take your check and they run it through, and you get it right back, and you walk out. They don't keep them like they used to.
Right.
So that process
they
kind of
have
changed, the rules and how many cases we prosecute on the check docket now, which is not that many, because a lot of people still doesn't write checks anymore.
Right.
Some people do. I still write checks, actually.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't write checks.
Yeah, I'm old
they use
school
their debit
myself.
card. Yeah, but I'm old school. I still pay my bills with a check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's changed things dramatically. Well, what else do you see in the future here for Jefferson County?
I see Jefferson County trending in the right direction. Hopefully we can get a handle on some of this violent crime. And hopefully we can do more outreach to the kids in the communities, in all of our communities, and change their mindset. And we could have a more progressive approach to our court system and how we deal with the various cases that come through the court system.
It takes cooperation, so it's not just your office. It has to be on the judicial level as well.
Absolutely.
And it has to be on the defense side as well.
That's right.
Hopefully with a common goal, and that is to make society better.
Yes.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. Thanks for being with us, Danny. We'll see you next Sunday.